he would shoot a laser at the prism, and using the travel time of that laser, along with the position of the device, he could determine latitude and longitude. Now, this is different from traditional land surveying, which requires walking long distances over hazardous terrain and possibly destroying sensitive habitats.
Okay, so our main focus was to engineer, and I quote engineer, two devices, one of them being the prism device, which needs to be visible from every single direction, and it needs to be stable so the prism does not move due to wind, etc. We also needed to engineer an arm device that would attach to the quadcopter, and it would be easy to pick up the prism device.
Now, this is our version 1 of the prism device. We used a tripod base over there with aluminum, or using aluminum pieces. Here's the prism right there. And on top are these two collapsible arms, which I will demonstrate. This is essentially what they look like. Now, across the top, there would be string, and as the quadcopter comes to pick it up, the arms would collapse. This allowed for even weight distribution.
Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is our ARM version 1. As you can see, it's just a bent piece of aluminum because that was all given to us at that time. We also thought that aluminum was the lightest substance that we were going to use. It was able to attach to a quadcopter, but we had one problem, which was we could not release the prism device after we picked it up.
Now, we presented our first version to the private investigator, and he actually told us that it was very bad. Now, the reason for this is because the way the prism is placed, it actually places stress on the prism, which is an expensive piece of equipment. Also, damaging the prism could affect the accuracy of the measurements.
So we decided to hit the drawing board again. So we put the prism at the very bottom of the base, and this presented another design flaw because we needed to have less obstruction on the prism, because if he shined the laser on it and it did not come back, then we would have a problem. So we decided to extend the legs for more visibility of the device, but we also had to make the legs smaller so it would have the least amount of obstruction to the prism.
Okay, now this is a video of a capture attempt. Let's see if it'll play. Okay, now you see the quadcopter here with the arm coming down. Over here is the prism device. It's a little hard to see. He misses on the first try. Is it going again?
Oh, we got it! Oh!
Okay, now, as you can see from the video, the arm on the quadcopter, it had a very constricted movement. So that's the reason he missed it on the first try. Because of the constricted movement, it was very difficult for the pilot to pick up the device. Also, he did mention before how the legs were made thinner to reduce obstruction. However, we underestimated it. It did obstruct a lot. The biggest problem, of course, was that it was too heavy for the quadcopter.
So this is our ARM version 2. We added a servo motor to the bottom, as you can see right here, for the catch and release system. And what a servo motor is, it has 180-degree movement. So we also had to thread the wire up the aluminum pipe right here, because if the line got stuck on the wire, it would not be able to go to the hook at the bottom. So we could not release the overall device. We also have these eye hooks at the bottom. And what this does, it acts as it has more of the movement.
Okay, now as you can see at the end of the arm, there was this. So it's touching the wires. Okay, so this was attached to the end of the arm. This is supposed to house the servo or the motor. Now, the reason these edges are tapered is to ensure it doesn't snag on the wire itself, which could cause for a damaged device. And we also had to make it so the servo would sit flush inside it without any extra pieces sticking out.
So this is our base version 3. Now we have the legs more spread out in 90-degree angles because it would be able to absorb more shock. We also extended the antenna on the device itself to add more visibility. But as you can see from the video, it was too heavy for the quad copter. Yeah. Then we also added this white tape, and what this did was it increased visibility, but the prism was at the bottom, and as you can see from the top, you cannot see the prism, so it obstructed the prism a lot more than we thought it would. So, some design flaws and improvement. How do we make our device stronger and lighter without basically making it, without sacrificing something else that we needed to do?
So we decided to completely redesign everything. From aluminum, we decided to use plastic for the centerpiece. Now the centerpiece is used to hold the prism, the arms with the string on the top, and the legs. So we designed these with a 3D printing software and 3D printed them in our robotics room, actually. Now this allowed for more freedom of where we would place each part. These were printed using a PLA plastic, which is cheap yet durable.
So this is the version we decided to go with. It is overall the lightest design out of the 4. It is also aesthetically pleasing. It's very beautiful. As you can see, there's recess at the top, but you can see from the picture there's also recess at the bottom, so we could mount the prism on the top and at the bottom. The only design flaw with this is if we mounted the prism at the top, these pieces right here that are used for the antenna would obstruct the vision of the prism. We also did some research, and then we found out about copper fiber. Now this is made out of composite material, so it's stronger and lighter. Overall, it's more efficient than aluminum.
So this is the assembled version with the centerpiece, as you can see here. These pieces that hold the arms and these angles are also 3D printed. Now these arms, or these carbon fiber arms over here, were actually too short, so we had to attach multiple pieces using epoxy and a thicker diameter of carbon fiber.
So this is the aftermath of our testing. As you can see at the top left, there is our servo hook. Now our servo is, the servo that we use had plastic gears on the inside, but you can't see them. But the overall force load that was exceeded and the gears cracked in the middle. We also tested 2 90-degree angle brackets over here, one being more robust, the other one being less robust. And we saw that this one did break and this one did not break, so we decided to go with the more robust. This is also on the arm, and what happened was the wire that goes through the arm to the quadcopter itself, for the hook, this piece was printed and it was broken within the first try, or first 2 tries.
Now, also a couple other points of the failure. These are the carbon fiber couplings that I mentioned before. They both broke. Now, I'm not very strong, but I did try breaking them with my hands first, and well, I couldn't break them. So it was actually due to how the pilot controlled the device as he dropped it. We did not estimate the amount of force he would apply dropping it straight down. We assumed he would drop it at an angle, allowing it to reduce the amount of stress on it.
So this is our 5th version of the centerpiece. As you can see, it's a lot more sturdier than our previous piece. there is also a lot more infill, and it has the ability to stop the arms from overlapping. Now, there was a problem during our testing where the arms would, when we picked it up, it would overlap, and we would not be able to drop it. So we had to stop this problem. So as you can see, the center at the top, it would, as the arms came up, it would resist and it would stop the arms from overlapping.
Now you mentioned infill in this. So by infill, you can see on this how the outside is solid plastic. However, on the inside, it's honeycombed, meaning there are spaces. This allows it to be lighter. So in our original testing, we used 20% infill, which is a low number, but we believed it would hold. For this piece, we actually increased the infill.
So this is a work in progress because we were not